Welcome back to Mcoc AlBundyRules. I have Chapter 3 in the brand new Variant 7 that just came out. So I got Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 item-free walkthrough completions available on my channel already. Here's Chapter 3, 3.1. I'm looking at this, with Physic Thorns, which normally I don't like Thorns paths that much, but this one has life transfer. So I can keep healing as long as I'm doing damage. So that sounds like a pretty easy path. I always love those life transfer ones. I'm seeing the Venom boss. See, unblockable special 2, energize, critical resistance, some XL advantages, and science wrath. So that's going to cause me, for part of my team, it sounds like a good fit for Thing, but let's see. So the other ones I'm kind of mainly looking at path completion and Thing, and whoever is left over I'm going to work on the boss with. So we're going to start off over here. So these kind of paths are fun because I'm going to have damage going down, but I'm going to keep healing. And somebody like Hyperion, I brought some heavy attackers who can do some good damage because I'm going to be able to make it pretty easy to keep it pretty close to full health the entire time. At least most likely anyways. Of course, accidents do happen at times, but it's nice when you can just keep hitting away and keep healing yourself. So with Hyperion here, with the advantages, and this one, heroes had the massive advantage, just like on Variant 7, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And there I took some damage, but I'm not too worried. As you see, just healing right back up based on the node. So I can play a little less cautious as need be. Try to finish this one off, and some more mistakes, but when I know I have unlimited healing, I play kind of silly sometimes, but it doesn't really matter. All equals out, still left their full health. Got a nice free revive, although I have like dozens of revives getting ready to expire, but take it anyways. So do some more high damage champ, another one that's going to be easy to keep healed up. So the Stark Enhance, big thing on Stark. He occasionally just does a random evade, so going to try to be somewhat cautious on that, although he's nowhere near as evasive as some of the other Starkies. But then again, when you're expecting it, you plan for it. When you're not expecting it, they catch you off guard sometimes. So I will keep that in the back of my mind. But with that being said, the fight's already over, so that didn't even matter. So gotta love Cosmic Ghost Rider. Just smacks them around. So now moving on to Medusa. And here, I'm not the biggest fan of Captain Marvel movie without the Nick Fury synergy. I will admit that, and I honestly don't even like using her without the Nick Fury synergy. I am going to use her at some point because I want to build her up, her binary to have ready for a future fight in case I do need her on the boss or something. I'm not too sure what to expect, but Venom bosses can be kind of difficult. And the fact that I'm limited to only cosmics and skill for this fight makes it a little more challenging because me, like most people, will just bring most mystics to deal with Venoms. So without that ability, it's going to have to switch it up a little bit normal. So I want to make sure I have a good team, especially with unblockable special to some of those nodes I saw in the Venom. Going to be important. I do have a full team for that fight to make sure I get them down without any issues, even by team approach. So now with Medusa there, trying to finish her off. And still see the stun, so knock out another heavy, and there we go, down she goes. So all smooth sailing so far. This path by far is going to be, in my opinion, the easiest path of Chapter 3.1, if not of all of Variant, mainly just because of the fact as long as you have some decent hitters, you're going to keep staying full health. You make a mistake, hit them back, heal back up. So it's a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and use... I'm thinking about the end fight, so I don't like bringing Captain Marvel in completely at 0 on her charges for a fight. So I'm going to try to start building her up and see what I carry on over. I do normally use her with Nick Fury to where they last a lot longer, so I'm going to try to keep that in mind and see, may try not to waste them all too quick, but we will see how all that goes. First, I'm going to go in and get those binaries up. Usually try to get up to 25 is my general goal, unless I accidentally activate it earlier, which I do on occasion. In the meantime, I prefer baiting out Iron Patriot Special 1s, mainly because simple to dex. S2's pretty simple too, as long as you have like maybe a step back, but it's just long and takes up more space, and I just prefer the S1, although the S2 ain't terrible if I do push them up to it. And I'm seeing them at 20, so really I'm staying somewhat mellow as I am trying to get up to my 25. And just need one more. I would prefer to bait out that special so I could just, and I kind of took a hit, but didn't matter, indestructible anyway. And going into S3 now. So I got her activated. Again, not really prefer with Nick Fury to where these ignitions last longer. But that's okay, and they're already down into the single digits. Dang, they go so quick. Without Nick Fury, kind of ridiculous how quick they go down. So I was hoping to end that fight with a higher amount of them than I did. Well, that didn't happen, so I might have to do another fight just to try to build them up so I don't have to start from too low or scratch if I do need her for the boss. I am expecting to use a team approach for the boss, is my expectation. Just historically speaking, how Venom bosses go, especially Unblockable Special 2, some of those nodes, as well as not being able to have a Mystic on hand for that fight, because you have to use all Cosmics and skill for this path here in Chapter 3, and really have to use heroes, otherwise you're going to be losing a ton of hit power. Villains, non-heroes would only be good for synergy, not for the actual fights at that 95% deduction. So we see Cosmic Ghost Rider makes good work out of stuff. This is definitely someone I've been enjoying using these days. Sometimes he just annihilates people. Still been practicing around with them, haven't really spent a ton of time on Cosmic Ghost Rider, so I've experimented with a few rotations. You'll see me do different stuff when I use them. I'm not really set on my ways on him yet, because really no matter what I do, he just devastates defenders anyway, so he is a fun one to use, I will say that. So I'm going back to Captain Marvel movie, mainly because I'm going to try to get my binary ignitions a little bit higher, in hopes of for the boss fight if I need her. Which I'm thinking she could be good, because you get up to that 25, you get those indestructibles, those Furies. So I'm thinking she could be a pretty nice counter for that Venom if I do need to use her. She's not my top choice, but she's one of my higher backup options for that fight, in case my initial does not work. And so I'm seeing myself at 21. I'm trying to casually get up to the 25, but I'm also doing some damage to keep the lifesteal going on, to keep healing up. So that's why I'm doing like smaller combos and stuff for the most part, just enough to keep healed while getting my parries in. And now I'll get on that S3. Doing the damage on Magneto there. So now I'm hoping to be a little bit more careful than I was last time. As far as with my charges, I would like to leave this fight with more, so we're going to get right into my heavies. Although, of course, Magneto decides to get a little more aggressive. And, well, not as many as I would like, but I'm probably going to be about halfway there. So I'm okay with the amount that I have in that I let that fight with, as I'm getting ready to go into the boss. Well, like I said, she's not my primary. I really think Thing should be good for this fight based on how I read the nodes, but I'm not 100% sure. Then again, Thing without synergies, preferring with synergies, obviously. So the special 2, there's Genetic Memory, Stream Blockable, Energize, so the power rate's going to be fast. I don't have power control, critical resistance. I do see how XLs can get a buff duration and unblockable every 10 hits, and Science gets an advantage, so I'm seeing how Thing would be a really good fit for this, at least on paper. But then again, without a full synergy team, Thing is still good, but takes a bit. Not quite what he is with his full synergy team. which I'm not going to be able to, didn't bring for this. And messed up on that S2, which I mess up on that S2 a lot. Sometimes I'll evade it perfectly 10 times in a row, then the next 5 in a row I'll take a clip on it. So I am trying to bait out those S1s as much as possible, but sometimes it takes a little bit to get them out. I'm really not expecting or going for the solo here, so I'm just going to do as much damage as I can. So I'm not going to worry too much about recoil and other stuff. Block damage, I have 4 full health champs left on the bench ready to come on in. So I really wanted to test out to see how thing would do in this fight, and he's doing okay, but not, I was hoping he would be better based on what I was reading on the nodes. I'm trying to bait out that S1, he just doesn't want to go, so I'm going to have to deal with the S2, and I'm cornered, and the last part, dang, yeah. Just got cornered. I was losing the battle on territory. Their space kept getting pushed back, and I was trying to bait out those specials. Having an increased energy power rate for Venom with no power control can be a little brutal. So with that, I was thinking, Cosmic Ghost Rider. He should be good here too. If nothing else, he should do some, hopefully get some good damage off. But that's assuming I don't get KO'd by the first special 2 that gets launched. So dang, that was just silly. Okay, well, that did not go as planned. I was expecting to take a big chunk of damage off Venom, and instead I just got completely destroyed. So let's go into Spider-Ham. And then with this, I'm going to let him just kind of let them melt himself. And Spider-Ham is definitely a fun one to play, but with him I'm going to try to build up his Porker Poppers. And if I am able to successfully keep beating out the specials, which has been pretty aggressive, this increased power rate, Spider-Ham can actually be amazing for this fight, was my theory. So as long as I can keep getting those S2s going out, preferably not get cornered, and we'll see Venom's just going to kind of melt himself, especially as I build him up. If I can get those gray ones, the spent ones, much higher, I can start causing some serious damage. So let the aggressiveness just take care of himself is kind of the logic here, especially after my first couple of approaches on this fight have not been overly good. Spider-Ham has been doing much better on this more passive approach, I guess we'll say. And then he keeps going in, melting the specials. And wanting to hopefully get that S1 out, but I am getting close to being cornered, and there we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and I was going to hold off on my S3, but decided to go and launch it now. If nothing else, get me out of the corner, although with the increased power, that's probably going to put him at S3. So just do as much damage as I can now before I'm down, and yeah, okay. I had a feeling that might happen, but that's okay. Spider-Ham did very good in this fight, much better than my previous attackers. So I will keep that in mind in later runs. Spider-Man was pretty fun on that too. I could keep myself from getting cornered, would have went a little better. So I did put a little bit of effort in making sure Captain Marvel movie was at least somewhat built up, just in case I needed her here. I knew she was going to be a contingency plan if I had issues, and I have definitely had issues in this fight so far as we see, but as I always say in my walkthroughs, it don't gotta be clean and pretty. We ain't getting no gold stars or bonus points for solos. As long as it gets done without using any other resources, no revives, no boosts, no potions, then hey, I'm a happy camper. So still on track to make that happen, but let's make sure it does. So I just should be coming right about here to get in my binary mode. I am just trying to, there we go, got the indestructible now, so I'll do whatever damage I can. I had no problem pushing them up to S3 because I'm indestructible. That was a big reason I wanted to have her ready in case of something like this. So I could do a bunch of damage, just have him launch an S3 and not have to worry about it. So there we go. That was one big reason I thought she could be good here. Trying to maintain something like that on this fight isn't going to work over well, but it sure will work for an occasional here and there like I just saw. And I still got plenty of indestructible left, so I can do a good amount of damage. I do have to watch out, but I am just trying to finish this. I am low on my binary charges, but that S2 finished on off. So getting Captain Marvel ready for that fight did pay off in the long run, so that was a good thing. Might give me a little bit more trouble than I would have liked. However, sometimes that'll happen. Still got through. Doesn't always have to be clean and pretty as long as it get through. None of the items used, so that's what I care about. So now we're going to go to 3.2. And have a pretty similar team overall because it's pretty similar. It's the same class requirements, so cosmics and science, but on this path I'm going to do cosmic champs, or a stellar, and then I need to have the buffs. So I need to have 3 buffs to do damage, so I brought a team of a few cosmics to get me through the path. I'm looking at the boss, special 1, blockable specialist, hard knocks, flux, strike back, buff duration. So we'll look more at that when I get ready to fight the boss. So my strategy is here is bring a few cosmics to get me through the path, specifically ones that can get those buffs up. A couple ones I would have liked to bring were villains, so it won't be helpful, so I had to keep it with the heroes yet again, based on the 95% attack difference. So I figured I'll use Captain Marvel here. So Psycho Man is not one I'm overly familiar with, but my goal here is kind of similar to last time. One, if I can at least get her through this fight, but better yet, if I could get the binaries up a little bit for a later fight if needed, that'll be positive. I don't plan on using her too much on the path, but figured I could use her on this fight in case I lose her. I won't be too worried about it, or if I'm able to build her up in case I need her for the boss as well. And now just getting up to the 25. So I'm not going to be doing the damage until I get there. So now I got the buffs up. So now I can start doing damage. So all I was doing while I was waiting to hit binary ignition was just pretty much parrying, just keeping space, making sure I didn't get cornered. After I hit the 25, I'm able to go to town on them. And so I got to keep this up because I got to keep my Furies up. If I lose my at least 3 buffs, I'm going to stop doing damage on them. So simply going to parry heavy will work sufficiently fine here. Again, without being able to bring Nick Fury's synergy is adds a little bit of different play style for Captain Marvel movie, and I do believe Kabam was very purposeful and kind of smart in a way in how they did the class restrictions. For most of what I've seen, like the main synergies I normally use are in separated classes. Like I can't use Fury with Captain Marvel movie. Some of the other chapters there were ones I would normally use together that was not able to, and I can understand that. Looking at Howard the Duck, recently buffed. Pretty fun champ these days. Did a tutorial on him after the buff, show how to use him. Can get some pretty good build up on him. So Hyperion is really good for these kind of nodes because I'm able to just parry heavy, easy to keep the Furies up, especially Awoke. So that's the plan. On Howard the Duck, I would prefer to try to bait his S1 over the S2. So when I see he's at the high end of the S1, I'll probably stop, try to bait it. S2's a bit harder, much harder on the deck side overall. The mass shooting. Rounds going on that S2 he does. S1's simple, easy dext. And now knock out some S3 special going on. That's like kicking the duck. Kick the duck and get back into my parry heavy, trying to wrap up this fight. Again, looking at beating that S1 so I can try to finish this off in the very soon future. And there goes that S1, and let's just try to rock and roll from here. Get in that parry heavy, knock down some health. May as well do another S3. Let's kick that duck again. Kicking him was so much fun the first time. Let's kick him again. There we go. And so that brought him down nice and low. Bait out that S1, and then I shall finish this fight off right around here. And there we go. So as always, Hyperion's always good on these kind of buffed, on these kind of nodes. We gotta have 3 buffs to do damage. Easily one of my favorites. I wanted to bring my Venom the Duck here, who would have been amazing for these paths. Unfortunately, he is not a hashtag hero, so he is not going to do any real damage, since there is a 95% difference there between heroes and non-heroes in the variant 7. But that's okay. Gets me using some different champs. Some champs I use on a regular, some not as much. Hyperion isn't someone I use a whole lot these days, other than he is definitely my go-to on nodes like this. The nodes we gotta have 3 buffs to do damage or similar. He's always my go-to on those, so at least one of my handful of go-tos there. So I do like him there. Absolutely. But that is a good thing about the variants. It gets to using champs you don't always use a whole ton load. And then working on getting this Ronin there. I was getting a little low on health, so I did activate the regeneration. Not something I always do on Hyperion, but did decide that I really want to get him through as much of this path as I can. I really plan on relying on him for a lot of the path fights. And I really want to get to the boss with as much health as humanly possible, because I'm not expecting the boss to be a clean, easy fight. I'm expecting to take pretty much everything I got in a group approach. That's just kind of my guess. Usually on final bosses on these kind of content, usually a bunch of rough nodes. So I want to save as much about my team for the final boss, because I have a feeling I'm going to need it. So now Spider-Man, stealthy. Big thing on this one looking at is going to be his potential for that evade. So I decided to go ahead and use Captain Marvel movie. No real purpose, but I do try after, when I do see his evades up at the start of the fight and or after an S1, I try to just bait it out as quick as possible with a light attack or two, so that I know he won't evade for a while. But in the meantime, with Captain Marvel movie, I do want to get it to 25, because I want to do as much damage as I can on him. I'm hoping that I can get him completely down in Captain Marvel movie, but if I can't, not the end of the world. But I did use her purposefully, because I'm not going to consider her too essential for this fight, for this quest. Took a hit there, but didn't matter. And I got confused there. For some reason, was thinking that would have been unblockable, but sometimes I get my champ abilities mixed up in the mid-dot. And I lost my binary ignition, which kind of sucks. So far, this fight hasn't been going too well at all for me, between wasting an S2 and binary ignition. And now my Captain Marvel movies are already almost down. So I did really use her, because I did consider her somewhat expendable for this path anyways. But of course I would have liked to have her for later, in case needed for the boss. But I prefer to use her to do as much damage on this one, because this was the main fight in the path. They can get tricky sometimes, mainly because those evades. And that one, I don't know what I was thinking. I just ran right into a drop kick. Anyway. Yeah, sometimes do silly things. So I got him low enough that I'm willing to bring in Hyperion. Again, I just don't want to lose Hyperion too early in the path. Otherwise, that's going to hurt me for more path completion. I get out that evade. So now I'm going to try to get some damage going on. Need to get my buffs up. There we go. Got that stun. So get another heavy in there. Alright, going well. And so finished up that fight. I did lose my Captain Marvel movie along the way, but that was a sacrifice, I'll say, I was willing to make sure I kept the champs I really wanted to keep up going. So Ghost again, I'm going to go ahead and just go with Hyperion, because I do know he could do a... Oh, man, I don't know what happened there. Okay. So I expected a stun, didn't happen, and yeah, so I did not want to lose my Hyperion. So unfortunately, I'm not even done with my path. I've already lost 2 champs, mostly due to some not overly clean, silly mistakes or weird stuff. I mean, I'm not getting the reaction I was expecting to get on some of these fights that have led to issues. and or maybe I'm just being a little too expectant on things. So that's okay. So I bring up my Cosmic Ghost Rider again. This is someone I've used a whole lot. I know I can get his buffs up, but I still kind of play around in different rotations and how he fully works. I haven't used him enough to be super comfortable on how everything goes, but I know if I just start getting judgments going on, I'll get buffs and do some damage. So I don't have the best strategy with him on these buffed up fights, but that's okay. I will get him done, and I was hoping that would do it. Unfortunately, I lost my buffs right before that went off, so try to get him back up again. And so until I get my buffs back up, I'm not going to be able to get the damage going on. And I'm hoping that should do it. There we go. Alright, so. And maybe not. I gotta love it with that 1% stuff, and then I ran out of buffs. So, yeah, that ghost fight gave me way more of a difficult time than I was anticipating, because that's usually a very easy defender. But it was mostly some unexpected issues that popped up there. So, I don't have as much of my team as I would like, and I still have one fight left on this path. But hoping for better, and this one is not going to be a buffed up, so I'm going to feel much more comfortable with Cosmic Ghost Rider on this fight than the buffed up ones. I'm expecting him to make easy work. I'm also mainly using Cosmic Ghost Rider because I'm running Suicide Masteries, which means my other champs who are not bleed immune would cause Carnage to go a little berserk on me, because when you're bleeding, Carnage starts getting that power quicker, starts doing unblockable, so Cosmic Ghost Rider was an easy choice for this fight here, running Suicides because of his bleed immunity. I'll normally try to bait out Carnage's S1s when possible, just a little smoother. His S2s are a little clunky in the movement. And just trying to stall there to get it down. I expected the S2 to finish him, but thankfully was able to immediately follow with the S1 to allow the damage over time to finish him off. And that gets to the boss. So looking at the miles here, Spider-Man. I've really brought Spider-Gwen heavily for this to deal with the evades based on my options. I see Enhanced Special 1, Specialist, Hard Knock, so gotta be careful of Special 1, gotta be careful of the well-timed blocks, because it's gonna switch over. Okay, so looking at some of the buffs, so I'm thinking Spider-Gwen is good based on the fact that she can put slow, so I'm going to do some parry heavy. And that's going to put the slow on, so he's not going to be able to evade me. So she's a good counter for evades, and I'm not expecting a clean fight because between some of these nodes on this miles, I'm expecting this to be a little tricky. But I'm going to do as much damage as I can with Spider-Gwen, because I brought her and saved her specifically for this fight to get him as much low as I can. I'm just going all out on him in order to try to get a good chunk of damage. I'm not trying to solo do anything pretty. I'm just trying to do the committee approach here. Nice little kick to the head on that heavy in order to get the slow back up. And a big part of using Spider-Gwen here is keeping slow active so I don't get evaded. That was my main logic there. Fight's been going fairly well so far with Spider-Gwen. Not flawless by any stretch of the imagination, but just trying to make sure I get as much down as I can, and was able to avoid too much damage on that unblockable special. Dex where I needed to, and got some more damage. Almost got Miles down to half health. If I can get Miles down to 50%, I would be pretty satisfied with that. Then again, planning on everything to do a committee by approach attack. I was trying to charge in on that after that special he just did, but for some reason my controls didn't want to go in, and so I was getting a little aggressive at the end and just took a straight punch. First hit I took that fight cleanly, took some good amount of block damage, but so I got him down close to half, so I'm fairly satisfied with that. We saw Spider-Ham do a lot of good work for me on the boss last quest in 3.1. So let's see if he can do the same for me in 3.2. A big thing though with him is I have to be careful on any evades on Miles Morales. So my goal here is just to get as much damage as I can, mainly trying to get those Porker Poppers up, then getting Miles to kind of melt himself away launching specials. So I will attack after parries to avoid getting blocked. To avoid getting evaded. And I'm not doing any damage, but that's because I forgot about the one note that each hit reduces the damage, so I had to do a heavy to reset that. So, should have remembered to do a heavy earlier with somebody like Spider-Gwen. It's easy to remember to do heavies because I have to do heavies with her to keep that slow upon this fight. Someone like Spider-Ham, sometimes I'll forget until I start seeing zeros popping up. So Popper's re-triggered there again, trying to keep this rolling along. Again, Spider-Ham is being pretty effective on the fight with some simple strategy. Nothing overly fancy, just getting Porker Poppers, trying to get them to kind of melt themselves away. And if I try to get another Porker Popper there, so again, did a good amount of damage. And between Spider-Gwen and Peter Porker Spider-Ham have done pretty well, thankfully, because I'm down to my list champion now. Cosmic Ghost Rider, got to get 20%. So I had lost 2 champs on the path through a little bit of sloppiness. I've lost 2 champs on this boss so far. Just pretty rough boss over. Take a little bit. So now it's up to Cosmic Ghost Rider to finish this off, and it's starting off pretty well, but I do want to be careful. I don't want to rush in and make any silly mistake, and especially almost got punished there. So I'm going to try to be careful. And there we go. That became a nail biter. It came down to the wire, did it? But hey, even if you don't have you don't get bonus points for having a whole lot of extra health and champs left after it. Bottom line, got through, no items used as far as no revives, no potions, no boosts. So that's what matters. And there's the rewards. Goody stuff there. I am saving all my 5-star shards for the new feature. Going to do a big new featured opening next week. And hopefully this helped you all. Again, this was Chapter 3 for Variant 7, 3.1, 3.2, item free. I also have Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 of Variant 7. If you haven't done previous variants like 5 or 6, I got those up on my channel too. Don't forget to click the top left icon, subscribe to Mcoc, AlBundyRules, and make sure those notifications are on. Thanks for watching.